If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMtrading. Today's May 22nd, 2020. And today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, we're actually watching oil sell off sharply this morning. And that's really on the back of China saying that it's not going to hit its GDP forecast for 2020. Now, this is not a surprise, but an impetus to sell off the oil markets. Now, looking at the economic events of the day, we're going to be starting out this morning with the British pound with having monthly retail sales, and then later this afternoon, ECB monetary policy out of the European Union. That's going to be at 1:30 South African time. Now, looking at the markets, we're watching the South African rand actually gain, breaking that support-ish level at 18. And we're going to take a look at that in just a second versus the US dollar, while the euro retraces as well. And the other markets really unchanged. Now, looking at the Dow Jones, it has a sell-off overnight as well, as the price of oil actually sold off. Now, looking at the commodities, obviously gold retraces, and as we spoke about, oil takes an about face and selling off. Now, lastly, looking at the stocks, they're back to trading with the index. Okay, they sold off as well towards the end of the day, and a decent sell-off, not a major sell-off, but maybe something that's going to be a catalyst for the next couple of weeks. But first, let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So before we get into the chart work, I just want to mention that Monday morning will be Memorial Day in the United States. It's a national holiday, and as such, the U.S. stock market and the U.S. indices are closed. So just be aware that you should have gotten an email from our marketing team about the holiday session. Now, looking at the Euro USD here at a 4-hour chart, nice little retracement. We mentioned this yesterday, and that retracement continued a little bbit from yesterday, 1950 to 1929. Now, this is a tight range, okay? You want to hold this a couple of days. Maybe it'll go down to 108.70-ish level. That's a better take profit there. But altogether, it's still relatively tight in the Euro USD. Now, jumping into the South African rand, okay, we saw this breach this level, okay? This is really important, 1785-ish level. I mentioned this yesterday. It did look like it's making a descending wedge, and that's exactly what happened here looking at a daily. We're jumping here at 1764. If we do break below the 1734, we could get back to the 16-ish level. So something to consider going into the next couple of days and next week of trading the rand. Now, looking at gold, finally breaking the 1741 support-ish level. And so now, to say that it's a support or it's a resistance, 1741 is still a resistance-ish level. Because if we look here, it did breach it, but didn't breach it with some oomph. Didn't breach it with a candle above the 1740 and held it. Okay, so I'm more inclined to think that we're going to continue to trade within a range until there's some sort of impetus to take us higher. Okay, that impetus may still happen over the summer if the Dow Jones does continue to sell off. Now, looking at oil, look at that nosedive. Okay, we're looking at a 30-minute chart, 33.95 down to 31.72. That's almost $2 or a little bit above $2 retracement. Okay, now this is obviously because the consumption of oil is still tainted as to which direction we're going to be going here. And there's still a lot of uncertainty in the markets. Okay, we haven't gotten out of the woods yet, even as the lockdown easing is taking place. And the schedule of the lockdown easing is taking place around the world. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But this may be an opportunity for it to actually rebound as the easing continues. Now, looking at the Dow Jones also selling off here to 24,217. What's important to note here is that basically we're setting up a new range. Okay, on the top range, 24,500-ish level. On the bottom range, 23,141. Okay, so this is a new range. Now, this may still break this low side, okay, if the markets don't have a upwards momentum, if there's nothing to carry us higher, if the lockdowns are not going to happen or not be successful, if there's unfortunate situation that, more people, God forbid, are dying in the United States. So these things have to be taken into consideration as we go into the next 20 to 30 days. We'll have a better idea of which way this market will be going. Okay. Now, the government in the U.S., the president of the U.S. is all focused on rebounding the economy. The presidency's biggest legacy, okay, towards his presidency is that he turned around the markets, okay? And so I don't think that they'll let this market go by so easily. And they want to make and preserve the market. And the way they preserve the market is the stock market, okay? It's really like the pulse of the U.S. economy, okay? So just keep that in mind as we enter the next 30 days. Now, looking at the individual stocks, nothing really held up. Apple sold off a little bit. Amazon took a little bit of a break. Okay, if we look at Facebook as well, also taking a bit of a sell-off here, but we're close to our highs. Okay, we're still hovering, in our high-ish area. So this may be a position where investors want to take some money off the table. They've rebounded from their losses back in the end of March, and now they're, somewhat back to quote-unquote normal area. So we may see a light or moderate sell-off around these levels. Okay, so something to keep into consideration as we go into today's session. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day and a beautiful weekend. Thank you.